Guys, how do you remember things for a final exam? You have 15 chapters to study from. Each chapter has 55 equations or 113 different molecules or something you have to remember. How do you remember this? And you have 5 different classes. Each class has different things you have to remember. How do you do this? How do you keep it in your brain and not forget? I struggle with the same thing, and I found a strategy that worked for me. It might not work for you, but I want to share it with you guys because I think it is really cool. I started doing this probably with history when I was younger. I had one piece of paper that the teacher gave, and it said, like, remember all these facts, right? It was one piece of paper, and it was just bullet point, like, I don't know this war, like the outcome of this war, know the main characters, what happened in this year, or what was the result of this treaty, some shit like this. It was a bullet point, very short sentences, and it was probably like 15 or 20 or 30 bullet points. I was like, how am I gonna remember this? So I sat down and I asked myself, what is the answer to each of these bullet points? Then I wrote it down. Let's say the paper is like this, the bullet points are in the middle. I would just write notes on the side of that bullet point and point to it. Maybe I would use different colors. Anyway, I used this singular piece of paper to put all of my information on it. And by the end of my study session or the week or whatever, all of my notes were on this singular piece of paper. Maybe one side. Maybe if I had extra stuff, I would put it on the second side, but the bulk important information, I would put it on one side. And then I would look at this singular piece of paper everywhere I went. I would just read this paper over and over. I read the questions and then be like, what is the answer to this? The answer is right next to it, but I'd close my eyes and be like, can I answer it? Then boom, open my eyes. It's like flashcards, but with one-sided flashcards. This is a way to train your brain because you recall and you repeat. Repeat every single day and recall as much as you can. Then you're going to strengthen your mind. I evolved this when I went to university, and what I had was, imagine I'm sitting at my desk, right? This is my desk. I have a wall right here in front of me, and I'm just doing work, right? Writing notes, looking at YouTube videos. I would write down on, let's say, like a post-it note, like something like this. Something like that. I would take something like this, maybe half of this, or maybe a sticky note. Write down, like, let's say the title of the chapter. Let's say you're learning torque. You know, I posted a video on torque, or Griffiths. You have 4 chapters. 4 chapters. Each chapter has maybe 4 or 5 or 7 sections. You have to chunk shit, right? In my history class, when I had the bullet point list, it was just one bullet point list. I didn't really need to break shit down into different things. But if you're studying for a final exam and you need to remember everything you learned from 15 chapters, you have to chunk stuff into different components. So I would start writing on something like this, chapter 15, whatever. All of the important equations, everything I need to fit on one piece of paper. Maybe I would write small. Maybe I would be like, you know what, this is not too important. So I would leave it out, but I would have everything here. Then I would circle things with a highlighter, like pink, yellow, some very bright color. I would have probably everything in chapter 15 circled in like some kind of blue color, right? Then I would rip this off and tape it to my wall in front of me. So I'm just looking at the paper. I just applied what I did with my repetition to my desk. So when I'm chilling at my desk, you know, you guys saw me in my previous video. I'm just thinking about a problem. I sit down, I'm thinking, I'm just like looking, relaxing my brain a little bit, and I'm looking at the content. You don't have to always study by sitting down and like doing problems. You could just study by looking at a piece of paper and reading it a couple times. So when I started doing this, I did this specifically for an optics class. I had a professor, his notes were crazy. So I printed out, he had like a slideshow of everything we need to know for the final exam. It was probably like 15 or 20 slides, dense information. So I printed all of them out, one page, one slide. Then I would highlight things, write extra equations onto that page and just put it here. My whole wall was covered. Like I have a corner right here. The entire wall was covered with all of these things, and I would just look at it. In preparation for the exam, what I did was I looked at these papers and I was like, okay, what do I not know at all? Start focusing on this. I have, for example, the way I lined shit up was from left to right, I would have chapter 1, 2, 3 in columns. So at the top, like the paper at the top of the wall would be like the beginning chapter. Right below it is the following section. Right below it is the following section. At the bottom of the wall, maybe not the bottom, but like, you know, chest level or whatever, is the end of the chapter. So in one grid line, I would have one chapter. And then if I move horizontally, I would look at different chapters. So then I would ask myself, what do I not know at all? Start with this. Look at that wall. Try to like study, right? Allocate my time and focus onto this. And then after I'm done with that, do a bunch of problems. Obviously, you have to study. My method here is just how to chunk and organize your memories and stuff like this. So you have to do problems. Well, as soon as you have a problem, maybe copy the problem, like a little picture of the monkey on a ladder. Put this on a small sticky note right there next to all of your chapter things so you can associate this problem with this chapter. Near the end of the exam, obviously you should do this early on. This doesn't help if you do it like 1 or 2 days before the exam. 1 or 2 days before the exam, you should study a different way. Maybe I'll do a video on that. But I don't have amazing strategies. You need at least a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever. So this is why I'm sending it out a little bit before exam time. You should start doing this chunking thing now. And then by the time the exam starts, you're sitting in your room and you're looking at everything, and you can look at everything in one screenshot, one just big view, and you're like, I know everything that is happening with this class. This didn't really work if I was studying for 2 exams at the same time, because I would focus most of the time on one exam. Let's say I had an exam on Tuesday and Thursday. I would do all of my chunking stuff on the Tuesday exam, and then after Tuesday, forget everything, rip everything off the wall, and then start for the Thursday exam. So I would do this, and in the exam, I would actually visualize what is happening in my wall. And I remember chapter 15, I highlighted in blue, and kind of in the middle, I put something about this, like torque. You guys saw in the previous problem, or in the previous video I posted, I forgot something about torque. This is not gonna happen because I do a problem on torque and then I put it on my wall, and then it's literally looking at me in the face. So this is a problem for students that are overwhelmed with all of the content in the class. It's 15 chapters, I know it's a lot, but you have to somehow put it in front of you so you can see everything. It might feel daunting at first, but you're gonna start chunking away at this thing one bite at a time, and you're gonna get it, guys. Repetition, recall, practice problems, keep watching YouTube videos. But this strategy that I'm talking to you guys about now is just a way of like condensing everything into one glimpse. And then that one glimpse can help you, one, ask like, what is it that you don't know? 2, cover everything that you've done already. And 3 is going to be just a big kind of mental snapshot that you can take with you into the exam, and maybe it'll help you out. If you guys are struggling to study, keep your spirits up. Studying is like a skill like anything else. You know, you might suck at it at first, but slowly you're going to get used to it. Slowly you're going to learn how to study for you. Different people study in different ways. Different people like doing different things. So eventually you're going to learn how to study, and you're going to be happy with it. But right now you got to test, and you got to cram, and you got to grind, and stay hydrated, stay happy. Don't stress about failing. Just focus on what's in front of you. Talk with friends and family if you're feeling overwhelmed. And yeah, leave me a comment if you want to see anything else, anything specific. I'll help you guys out. I'll post a video on something. Peace out, guys.